There's a lot of conflicting information on milk, especially with the recent dairy alternatives that have become prevalent today. It's hard to know which ones might be the best option. While there are many benefits to switch from dairy to a plant-based alternative, like animal welfare, the environment, and health, I'm only going to focus on the health aspect, looking at the key risks of dairy and comparing those to non-dairy alternatives like almond milk. Plant-based milk offers the same benefits of dairy without the negative risks to your health. For those trying to save a dime, be sure to stay tuned for a demo on making your own milk. Let's dive in. First, there's a big misconception that dairy is necessary in your diet for calcium, protein, or to keep your bones strong. The dairy industry really milks this point with advertising, marketing, and industry-funded research, spending a lot of money ensuring people will continue to buy their products. However, calcium isn't the only thing you get with your glass. Cholesterol, fat, hormones, pesticides, lactose, pus, and manure are all included as well. Dairy is also the main source of saturated fat in the U.S. diet, and the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine states that the high levels of saturated fat, hormones, and antibiotics in milk can lead to higher rates of ovarian, prostate, and breast cancers, acne, inflammation, bone fractures, and heart disease. Now let's look at calcium. Calcium is important for healthy bones, teeth, keeping your blood pressure low, reducing tension, aiding in overall nervous system health, and for preventing osteoporosis. It comes from the earth, is absorbed into plants, which are eaten by animals, and finally gets to us through their milk. So in a sense, cows are the middlemen. Not only can you get a better source of calcium from plant foods like dark leafy greens, tofu, chia seeds, or almonds for example, but plant milks are also fortified with calcium just like dairy. Secondly, a large portion of the world population is lactose intolerant, meaning they lack the enzyme lactase needed to break down the lactose found in milk. An article in the U.S. National Library of Medicine states that approximately 65% of the human population has a reduced ability to digest lactose after infancy. The rate is even higher in certain countries like Asia, where it affects more than 90 to 100% of the population. This condition is also very common in people of West African, Arab, Greek, and Italian descent. Dr. Walter Willett, a Harvard University expert on nutrition, spoke to the National Post explaining that consuming milk is not essential for human health. He stated, "There has been this general belief that we need to consume a lot of milk because that will prevent osteoporosis and fractures. Yet studies that have looked at milk and dairy consumption do not show that people who drink more cow's milk have lower fracture risk." Interestingly, some of the countries with the highest consumption of dairy also have the highest levels of osteoporosis. For example, Finland, Sweden, England, and America. Finally, in case you were still afraid of weak bones from drinking plant-based milk, a study done on elderly vegan Buddhist nuns found that there was, quote, no significant difference between vegans and omnivores regarding bone density. But good news! You don't have to give up adding milk to cereal, creamer to coffee, or yogurt to smoothies. There's an array of dairy alternatives that are fortified with the same vitamins and minerals, but don't pose the same risk for our health. There's an abundant amount of plant sources that can be used, each with slightly different qualities and nutritional benefits. Just about every nut and seed has been turned into milk nowadays. Some of the numerous sources include almond, soy, rice, coconut, hemp, flax, oat, cashew, hazelnut, and walnut. So you can see there's a ton of sources. From an article in One Green Planet, compared to dairy, these milks are lower in sugar, lower in calories, free from IGF-1, which is insulin growth factor, and has been linked to cancer growth. They're easy to digest, cholesterol-free, and contain fiber, unlike dairy, and also little to no saturated fat. Some brands add a lot of sugar, sweeteners, or additives, so if you're concerned about that, it's actually super easy to make at home. Now for the scheduled programming you've all been waiting for. I'm going to show you a cost-effective, healthy, and fun way to make your own plant-based milk. Let's go to the kitchen.
First, you're going to need a blender. I'm just using my Magic Bullet. If I was at home, I would use a full-size blender, but we're working with what we got. I'm going to be making hazelnut milk today. The ratio of nuts to water varies with the source, but for hazelnuts, it's around 1 to 2. So I used a handful or around a cup of soaked hazelnuts. I'm just going to add them to the blender. Now is the time to add anything extra like sweetener, flavors, or spices. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of agave and a touch of cinnamon for that holiday season feel. Then I'm going to fill the whole thing up with water. Now we're gonna blend for a couple minutes or until smooth and foamy. Alright, that looks good. Next, you're gonna need a way to strain it unless you're fine with chunks. You can use a cheesecloth, or they even sell specialized nut milk bags. I got this one. It's Ellie's Best Bigger, Better Nut Milk Bag, not sponsored. Honestly, if the title didn't get you, I don't know what will. So this part is a little messy. We're gonna strain the milk into a bowl. And then you're all done. Now it's time for a taste test. Delicious.
I hope you enjoyed that little demo. Now to wrap it up, with the negative risks dairy poses, it's important to look at other options for our health. Plant-based milks offer many of the same benefits along with alleviating these risks of dairy. They are made from a variety of plant sources which are generally lower in saturated fat, sugar, calories, and instead offer fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Not only is this a healthier alternative to dairy milk, but it can also be a cost-effective way to make your own milk. If I didn't inspire you to ditch dairy, hopefully you'll at least give this recipe a try.